Hey, it's Jared. If you have a Galaxy Tab S9 Ultra, you probably want some way to protect it. I know that I love the fact that this device is super thin, like a razor blade, it's so thin, with beautiful design, a massive screen that is just beautiful. I mean, this image that I took with a drone in Alaska just looks amazing as a wallpaper on this device. Viewing content, I mean, editing photos, everything that I've done on the Tab S9 Ultra has been a blast, but using it like a tablet or trying to use it as a laptop or trying to figure out how to use this thing and not damage it because it's so big and it's easy to scratch up, because if you put it in a bag, chances are something it's going to rub up against. If you're holding it in your hands, chances are you're going to bump it into something because it's just such a large device. You might need a keyboard. Depending on what you're doing, you might need different accessories. And so we're going to look at cases today in this video, different cases that are available for the Tab S9 Ultra. Some of these cases are going to be clear winners. Other ones are really only going to be winners if you're looking for a really budget-friendly case. But let's jump into the cases. The first case that we're going to look at is from Spigen. This is the Rugged Armor series case, and it looks very familiar if you have seen their cases for their phones as well. I did a video of cases for the Galaxy S23 Ultra, and if you're wanting a case that matches, you definitely can go with Spigen here because they've got matching cases. If you have an S23 Ultra, or really any S23, definitely go check out that video. I reviewed a lot of cases there, including the Rugged Armor. What I like about this case is it's very thin. It adds protection on the edges here with cutouts for the camera and the S Pen. And I love the way that the S Pen is just kind of held in place. It's given a little bit of an extra squeeze here without covering the thing up and making it hard to get access to. Very easy to get the S Pen in and out here just by sliding it through. And it still has strong enough magnets to kind of snap it into place so that it can continue to charge and all of that stuff. But I really like that. It has that Rugged Armor look to it, but without getting too crazy. Very simple case. I did notice that at times it does kind of collect moisture. It doesn't really get smudged up, but as you hold it for a while and maybe a little bit of moisture from your hands get in the case, then it just dissipates and it's fine. Not a big deal. This opens up like a typical just kind of front cover type of case that we've seen for many years and folds over into a triangle on the back of the device, as you can see, and props it up. And so you got one viewing angle with this case, which is fine, because much more than this, and you would trade off the thin, slim simplicity of this case for bulk, because with bulk comes more options. Definitely good protection around the screen. The case comes up around the edges a little bit, so if your tablet ended up face down, you're not going to have to worry about that because it's got protection there. The edge protection's kind of reinforced a little bit, providing a little bit more bumper to the edges where the tablet might hit if it was to fall. And then, of course, definitely still lays nice and flat. Now, if I was to hold the tablet, which this is a big tablet to hold, and I typically hold a tablet when I'm using it, or it's in my lap or something like that, this doesn't add much thickness to it, doesn't make it hard to hold. And then, of course, I can fold this up into the little triangle on the back. I mean, this is kind of crazy to try and hold the tablet one-handed like this, but it's not impossible. This is definitely possible if you wanted to hold the tablet or kind of view it like a very long book and read like it was a Kindle or something like that. I mean, you could do that. It's possible. Probably not recommended because it takes a lot of gripping strength to do that for a long period of time. And I know it would probably end up slipping out of my hands and I'd end up dropping the tablet. But nonetheless, I like the simplicity of this case. Definitely for a tablet this large, if you're not wanting to add a lot of bulk to it, the Spigen Rugged Armor is a great option. The next case we're going to look at is from Moko. This is kind of a Folio style case, and I really like it. It's clean and simple. And if your Tab S9 Ultra is something that you travel with, maybe you go to meetings, you use this as a display to show presentations or media or something like that, and you want something sleek that doesn't give off this is a giant tablet vibes, then the Moko is definitely a case for you. I love the fact that it just has a simple flap here, and that reveals your S Pen and your cameras. You can see there's another little loop over here, maybe for a real pen. You could also put the S Pen in there. I don't know why you would, but you could put the S Pen in there and it does fit and it fits snug. But I would probably go with another pen that I might have there, because on the opposite side, you actually have a sleeve. And so I like to take notes. I journal and I have a notebook, and I could slip my notebook in here. And so with a pen right here, my notebook slipped in here, and my Tab S9 Ultra in this nice sleek case, I'm dialed in. I could pretty much get anything accomplished anywhere. This has a magnetic clasp on the back, so it kind of snaps closed. It is a little tight, so I mean, if you were to try and put something big in here, it might kind of stretch things out just a little bit, but nonetheless, you could fit definitely a small notebook in here, some sheets of paper, something that you might need, definitely fits in the back. When you open the flap up and pop out the tablet like so, we've got these ridges here that are where you would rest the tablet up against, and so you have different viewing angles. So we've got a viewing angle, like the tallest, I guess you could say, tallest viewing angle, and then we've got another one and another one. And then you could probably go really deep down here. That one's not going to work out too well. But perhaps maybe with a little finagling, you could make it work. But anyways, there's definitely multiple viewing angles here for this tablet, which I like with the Moko case. And then, of course, closing it up, and boom, nice packaging, very simple. What this case is not going to feel very comfortable as a case to hold when you have the tablet opened like so. It adds some thickness for sure. And as I hold my tab and try to use it, I feel like I'm squeezing really hard to hold onto this thing. You could wedge a finger in between here like that and hold it, but this adds a little bit of weight to the tablet, makes it kind of heavy. I wouldn't be using my tablet handheld in this case. I'd probably pop it out of this case and go without the case. That's fine, because this case could just be used when you are traveling or when you need it at a meeting or whatnot. You can see it's got a hard backing, so nice and secure backing, so that even if it did take a little bit of a hit from the outside, you're going to be okay. It's going to provide a lot of protection. I really like this Moko case because of the design. It probably wouldn't be a case that I would use all of the time, but when I was going outside of the home or the office with my Tab S9 Ultra, this just looks good. It looks professional. This case is the turtle skin case from Poetic. Poetic makes cases for a lot of different devices. It's actually been a while since I've looked at a Poetic case. This case is very rubbery and provides a lot of protection. I would say this case provides probably the most kind of springy, rubbery protection out of any case that we're going to look at today. It's got definitely some grip for the S Pen, and so the S Pen is held in there really well. Not impossible to get out, but definitely it's in there. And so you want to be careful not to bend the S Pen. I think probably the best way to pop it in is to get it in there a little bit and then just snap it in the rest of the way. Nice cutouts for the camera, for any of the sensors and speakers, lots of cutouts for all of that stuff. The front of the device has a lot of protection as well, because the rubber comes up and around the tablet so far. It provides a ton of protection face down. And so if you are going to allow the family to use this tablet, this might be a good case option, because it's so rubbery and provides so much protection all the way around the edges. And I know rubbery is not the right term, because this is probably not made of rubber. So it's a silicone type of case, but it has kind of a rubbery feel to it. When you hold on to the case, it's got ridges here for your fingers, which makes it nice and comfortable to hold this handheld. A lot of the other cases are just flat on the back, don't have anything really for you to do with your fingers, but this gives you a little bit of gripping on the edges, which I do really like. And so as far as this case goes, besides the fact that it's off-gassing right now, even though I opened this case 5 or 6 days ago, it still has a strong smell to it. So you're definitely gonna have to get used to that. Hopefully that smell would go away maybe after a week or two. Overall, I'd have to say this case is pretty decent. I'm not a fan of the smell. I am a fan, though, of how good it feels to hold this device compared to everything else that I have tested so far. I really like that design choice of giving us something to grip. The buttons and everything are really responsive, so no worries there. There's plenty of cutout space for all the cameras. Overall, this is a great case if it's what you're looking for. But as far as a case that provides a level of comfort for hand holding your device, this is definitely a great option. All right, this is another simple portfolio style case. It's got the cutout for the S Pen on the back and the cameras folded over. Simple design. This is the name here of the case. I don't know how you would pronounce that, but like one of the cases we looked at earlier, it folds up kind of into a triangle in the back, and very, very simple. What I like about it is that there's also a slot up here for the S Pen as well. If you wanted to stow that away and you didn't want to worry about the S Pen getting lost, you've got a compartment for the S Pen. And so no more S Pen on the back, and the S Pen is safe and secure. The other cases don't have, I mean, they do have maybe something that holds the S Pen on here, but it's not something that is foolproof. You could definitely still lose your S Pen. This case definitely kind of has weak magnets as far as holding the front cover on the screen, and the front cover on the screen can kind of shift from side to side a little bit too. And so you want to be careful with this case. This is one of those more budget cases that definitely gets the job done and has a few neat features about it, but may not make you happy. Now, getting the S Pen out of here I found to be a little bit of a challenge because it's got cutouts in the bottom that you can get your fingers under and push the S Pen out, but you get your S Pen in there, it'll freak you out for a second until you find those. Overall, I don't mind. I think it's a neat case. It's got a couple of neat features to it. The device doesn't necessarily stay in the case the best. Like if I put a little bit of pressure down on the bottom, not even pushing, but just kind of like allowing the Tab S9 Ultra to kind of flop under its own weight, it wants to pop out a little bit. That's not something that you're probably going to do very often with your tablet, but it's something to consider. This case is a nice case, but there's some limiting factors to it. For the price, you can't beat it. And the last two cases we're going to look at are keyboard cases from Samsung. Why do I have more than one? Well, because their naming scheme is even more confusing than the way they name their phones. The first one we're looking at is the Book Cover Keyboard Slim. You would think that maybe it's just a skinnier version of the other one, and maybe perhaps it is. It doesn't add a whole lot of thickness to the device, very thin, has that little pop out here where that covers the S Pen, so there's S Pen protection. You're not going to lose your S Pen with that back there. I definitely like that. Then we pop it down like so and snap things into place. Then where's the trackpad? I didn't realize that Samsung had two versions of this case. So when I opened up this case, I was confused because there was no trackpad. There was just simply a keyboard and that's it. And where I thought it had a kickstand, it didn't. It actually just snapped into place, so I was a little confused. When I went into Best Buy, I bought the keyboard case, the one that I thought was the Book Keyboard Case. That's the name of it. This one just happened to say Slim on the front of it. That was the only difference in the word. And this is the box. It says Book Cover Keyboard Slim, and it says the information that I needed to know on there. Yes, the image does show a little bit of keyboard, but that's not enough to really make me think, well, wait, shouldn't it be showing a little piece of the trackpad and not the keyboard? It's very, I don't know, confusing imagery on this. And if you look around on the back, that is what you see. And it doesn't say anything about, hey, this isn't the trackpad version. And so I was a little confused and a little frustrated when this was the model that I got, because with this model, you're now going to need a mouse in order to use DUX. DUX needs some sort of input besides the keyboard, and it's not giving me that with this case. I'm not going to necessarily review the keyboard because it's a keyboard. It's decent. I don't know why you would purchase this model of the keyboard though. Yes, it's slim, but I would prefer to have a trackpad. Even if I was going to use a mouse, I would prefer a trackpad as an option for when I didn't want to carry a mouse with me. So we're going to look at the other model, but first, here's the other box. It says Book Cover Keyboard. It's just missing the word slim, and it doesn't show anything about a piece of trackpad on it. It just shows this here, that you have some function buttons. And so why would you think that this one is any different than the other one? You simply wouldn't. And then if we see here, the only difference is that it can be used as a kickstand without the keyboard sticking out from the bottom. It doesn't say anything here about trackpad or whatever. It just says inbox item, stand rear cover, keyboard front cover, leaflet. Doesn't say anything at all. So I was very frustrated. When I was at Best Buy, I bought this one, and then I had to make a whole nother trip back to Best Buy to buy this one. I actually opened the box there to make sure that I knew what I was getting. So what do we have here? Well, we've got a keyboard. And how thick is that keyboard? Well, I have a tape measure here. That's the only thing that I had near me. How wide is this? This is, I would say, a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch. I'd say if you include the S Pen, it's closer to 3/8. I don't know, but it's definitely a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch. Maybe if you squeeze tightly here, you've got just a little bit over 1/4 of an inch. How slim is it? If we actually take this keyboard case off and we put the one that shouldn't be slim because it doesn't have the name, how much thicker is it? It's the same thickness, just over 1/4 of an inch. And if you account for the S Pen, oh, it's like 3/8 or whatever. It's not even quite a 1/2 inch. So there's no difference in thickness. And Samsung, you guys are so bad at naming things and you're so confusing. So please don't do that. It frustrates people like me who have to make multiple trips to get what they want because your packaging is so confusing. Let's take a look at this. Maybe they meant slim because the footprint is a little bit bigger. As you can see here, it's a lot wider or deeper because of the trackpad and all of that stuff. Sometimes you don't actually get into DUCS, which can be kind of annoying. You can tap on all the buttons and stuff that you want, and it doesn't necessarily know what to do unless you hold down function and hit the DUCS button, and then it loads up. Now, most of the time it does actually load up DUCS for me, which is great. This time it just didn't. So the trackpad is what I really like, and it's a little challenging for me to get this all in the screen, so I apologize. But what I really like is having room for the trackpad. This is what makes it both a tablet and pretty much a laptop, because you've got all of this screen real estate to use with a keyboard and a trackpad. And DUCS is meant to be like a notebook or a laptop and give you that kind of functionality. So whether I'm using this device just to display a different stock that I might be paying attention to for that day, or play some content on YouTube, or review some emails or something like that, it's nice to be able to navigate with the trackpad. Even though these touch displays are amazing, I've always been someone who doesn't necessarily get as much enjoyment out of the touch display being this large. I like the trackpad for making smaller movements, and especially if I'm going to be editing photos or doing stuff like that in Lightroom. And so if I open up Lightroom and then go full screen with it, I would be editing photos in Lightroom and utilizing the trackpad to make finer gestures and movements and stuff like that, because that's just what makes sense for my workflow, especially if I'm sitting at a desk or a table. If I'm lounging on the couch or something like that, then it wouldn't matter. I wouldn't have either one of these cases on. They definitely wouldn't be that enjoyable to have in this type of orientation, because they add a bit of weight to your device and they're just hard to hold on to, especially with the keyboard showing on the back and you're pressing down buttons. But I do have to say, I like the keyboards. The keyboard actually is really nice. I love the way the keys feel. I have an iPad with a Magic Keyboard, and the keys on this just feel really nice. And they have a nice little clicky sound to them. They have a good small amount of travel. It's a joy to be typing on this type of keyboard. So overall, great. So if I had to choose a case, which case would be the case for me? Well, being that the Tab S9 Ultra is as large as it is, I would want to use it as a notebook as well as a tablet. So I would probably go with the Samsung book cover keyboard, not the Slim, but this one, because it gives me the functionality that I would want in a notebook. So this would be the one for me, but it is quite expensive. A runners up for me would definitely be the Moko case, because the Moko case is nice and it gives a nice aesthetic to this device when you're carrying it around. So check out the links in the description below. Those links take you to the product. Some of these cases come in different colors or variations, so definitely check those out as well. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I definitely didn't review all of the cases that are available that are out there, but most of these are cases that I found either on Amazon or at Best Buy. And being that this device hasn't been out for a terribly long time, there aren't a whole lot of options for it yet. So let me know what case you're using down in the comment section below, or which one you decided to buy using the links in the description. We'll see you in the next video.